The watchers, Captain Sarah Chen, stood motionless in the observation deck of the TSV Nighthawk, her reflection barely visible against the backdrop of endless stars. The latest quantum stealth systems made the ship virtually non-existent to the rest of the universe. No heat signature, no electromagnetic emissions, not even a gravitational footprint. It was humanity's masterpiece of invisibility, the product of 50 years of secret technological development. Status report. She spoke softly into the neural interface that connected her to the ship's AI and crew. All systems nominal, Captain, responded Lieutenant David Santos, his voice clear in her mind, despite being 3 decks below in engineering. Quantum core stable at 0.002% detection threshold. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Even after 5 years commanding the Nighthawk, the ship's capabilities still amazed her. While the rest of the galaxy fought with crude energy weapons and basic FTL drives, humanity had quietly mastered the fundamental forces of the universe. Multiple contacts detected, bearing 047 Mark 223, announced Lieutenant Maya Padul from Tactical. Range, 2.3 light minutes. Classification matches known hegemony warship configurations. Chen's expression hardened. The collective hegemony, a loose alliance of aggressive species that had been expanding their territory through force for the past century. Earth had watched them for decades, gathering intelligence through their network of quantum-cloaked observation posts scattered throughout the galaxy. "Show me," Chen commanded, and a holographic display materialized before her. 3 massive warships, their hull designs an ugly mix of sharp angles and weapon ports, were pursuing a smaller vessel. The Cori sleek organic lines marked it as Meridian, one of the younger spacefaring races that had recently refused to join the hegemony. "They're charging weapons," Paddle reported. "The Meridian shift shields are already at 30% capacity. They won't survive another volley." Chen felt the familiar weight of command settle onto her shoulders. For 50 years, humanity had hidden its true capabilities, preparing for the day they would need to step onto the galactic stage. They had watched countless atrocities, documenting everything while building their strength. The standing orders were clear: observe, don't interfere. Earth wasn't ready for full diplomatic contact. But they had also sworn an oath: protect those who cannot protect themselves. "How many life signs on the Meridian vessel?" Chen asked. 312, Captain. "Mostly civilians, based on bio readings. Likely a refugee transport." Chen closed her eyes for a moment, remembering the briefing files on the Meridians. A peaceful species, primarily scientists and artists. They had refused to join the hegemony not out of pride or hatred, but because their society was founded on principles of individual freedom and cultural exchange. "Commander Victor, your tactical assessment." She addressed her XO. Elena Victor's response was immediate and precise. "We can disable all 3 hegemony vessels without casualties, Captain. Their shield configurations are primitive compared to our quantum weaponry. However," she paused, "this would violate the non-intervention directive. Earth's existence would be revealed. And if we do nothing, 300 innocent beings die." Chen watched as the hegemony ships moved into attack formation, because they dared to say no to tyranny. The bridge fell silent. Every crew member knew what was at stake. Humanity had spent half a century preparing for first contact, developing technologies that would ensure they entered the galactic community from a position of absolute strength. One wrong move could destroy decades of preparation. But Chen hadn't joined the Terran Space Force to hide in the shadows while innocents died. "Battle stations," she commanded. "Tactical, target their weapon systems only. Minimum force, maximum precision. Let's show them exactly what humanity can do." The Nighthawk's quantum core hummed to life, channeling energy that most species wouldn't discover for centuries. The ship's stealth field remained active. They would strike without ever becoming visible to conventional sensors. "Weapons locked," Paddle reported. "Ready on your command." Chen straightened her uniform, knowing that this moment would change the course of human history. Send a message to Earth Command. Priority 1. The wall of silence breaks today. Then target all 3 vessels and fire. The Nighthawk's quantum missiles phased into existence meters from their targets, bypassing shields designed to stop normal matter and energy. Precisely calculated micro-explosions severed power conduits and weapon controls, leaving the massive warships suddenly impotent in space. All targets neutralized, Patel announced with professional calm. No casualties. Hegemony vessels are running on emergency power only. Open a channel to all ships, Chen ordered. Let's introduce ourselves. The communication system activated, broadcasting on all frequencies. Chen's voice was steady as she delivered humanity's first official words to another species. Hegemony vessels, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran space vessel Nighthawk. Your weapons have been disabled. Your pursuit of this civilian vessel ends now. Be advised that this sector is now under human protection. Any further acts of aggression will be met with increasingly severe responses. The reactions were immediate. The hegemony ships erupted in a chaos of communications, their crews trying to understand how they had been defeated by a ship they couldn't even detect. The Meridian vessel, its engines still straining to escape, suddenly froze in space. Meridian vessel, Chen continued, her tone softening. You are under our protection. Stand by for assistance with your shield repairs. As her crew moved to aid the damaged refugee ship, Chen gazed out at the stars once more. Humanity had prepared for this moment for decades, developing technologies and strategies for every conceivable scenario. But in the end, it wasn't careful planning that forced their hand, it was compassion. Message from Earth Command, Lieutenant Santos announced. Priority 1. Chen braced herself for the reprimand she expected. Instead, the message was simple. The silent guardians rise. Protocol awakening is now active. All ships, reveal yourselves. Across the sector, dozens of quantum signatures flickered into existence as humanity's hidden fleet dropped their stealth fields. Vessels that had watched and waited for years revealed themselves, taking up defensive positions around vulnerable systems and trade routes. The age of observation was over. The time had come for humanity to step forward not as conquerors or victims, but as protectors. The galaxy would soon learn that Earth's greatest achievement wasn't their advanced technology. It was their unwavering commitment to using that power to defend those who couldn't defend themselves. The real work was just beginning, and humanity was ready. Breaking the silence. The Nighthawk's diplomatic chamber hummed with energy as holographic representatives from a dozen species flickered into existence. Captain Chen stood at the center, her dress uniform pristine, facing the storm she had unleashed. 6 hours had passed since humanity's revelation, and the galaxy was still reeling. Admiral James Harrison's hologram appeared beside her, his weathered face showing both concern and pride. As head of Earth's hidden fleet, he had overseen decades of secret observation. Now he would help guide humanity's first steps into galactic politics. The Hegemony Council demands an explanation, announced a towering figure with iridescent scales and multiple sets of eyes. High Commander Vex, leader of the Hegemony's military forces, glared at the human representatives. You have hidden advanced technology, violated our sovereign territory, and interfered in a legal pursuit of seditious elements. Legal pursuit. Chen's voice carried an edge of steel. You were hunting civilian refugees. The Meridians rejected our generous offer of protection, Vex countered. Their technology and resources belong to the greater good of the hegemony. They belong to themselves, Admiral Harrison stated firmly. As does their future. A new hologram materialized. A Meridian elder, her crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns. I am Speaker Lyra. On behalf of my people, we thank humanity for their intervention. But we must ask, why now? How long have you watched from the shadows? Chen shared a glance with Harrison. The truth had always been part of the plan, even if the timing hadn't been of their choosing. 50 years, Harrison answered. Since we first detected your quantum communication signals, We knew we weren't alone, but we also knew we weren't ready. So we watched, we learned, and we prepared. Prepared for what? Demanded a representative from the collective, their gaseous form swirling with agitation. To ensure that when we finally stepped onto the galactic stage, we could do so as equals, or better, Chen replied. We saw how the hegemony treated primitive species. We saw the choices forced upon younger civilizations, submit or be crushed. We chose a third option. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices and translations. Lieutenant Patel's voice came through Chen's neural link. Captain, we're detecting massive fleet movements across hegemony space. They're mobilizing. Chen kept her expression neutral as Harrison continued the briefing. A holographic display materialized in the chamber center, showing Earth's technological achievements. Quantum stealth systems that bent probability itself, weapons that could disable without destroying, defensive systems that made conventional attacks meaningless. Your interference will not stand, Vextil declared. The hegemony maintains order in this sector. We have 10,000 warships, which we've been able to track, study, and outmaneuver for decades. Harrison interrupted. Every weapon you've developed, we've found a counter for. Every strategy you've employed, we've analyzed. We didn't hide out of fear, High Commander. We hid so that when we finally revealed ourselves, there would be no doubt about the new balance of power. New holograms appeared, representatives from dozens of smaller species that had suffered under hegemony expansion. Their leaders spoke of oppression, of resources stripped away, of cultures erased in the name of progress. The age of empire is over, Chen announced. Earth stands ready to defend any species that wishes to maintain its independence. We offer alliance based on mutual respect, not subjugation. You would upset centuries of stability, Vextil snarled. Chaos will follow. If by chaos you mean freedom, then yes. Chen's eyes hardened. Your ships are still disabled. Consider this a demonstration of what happens when you prey on those you consider weak. The next time, we won't be so gentle. The hegemony representatives vanished from the chamber, their holograms winking out in what was clearly meant as an insult. But others remained, their forms shifting with interest and hope. Lieutenant, Chen subvocalized through her neural link. Status of the hegemony fleet movements. They're consolidating forces around their core worlds, Captain. But there's something else. We're detecting unusual energy signatures from their primary research facilities. They're preparing something big. Speaker Lyra's crystalline form sparkled with concern. The hegemony will not accept this change quietly. They will retaliate with everything they have. We're counting on it, Harrison replied. Captain Chen's intervention wasn't just about saving your ship, Speaker. It was about forcing the hegemony to react, to show their true nature to every species they've claimed to protect. Chen watched as more representatives joined the chamber, species that had been silent observers until now. Each brought their own fears, hopes, and questions. Humanity's revelation had shattered the old power structure, and something new would have to take its place. We offer you a choice, Chen addressed the gathered species. Not an ultimatum, not a demand for submission, but a true choice. Stand with us. Help us build something better than the hegemony's forced unity. We have the technology to protect you, but we don't want to be your rulers. We want to be your allies. The chamber filled with murmurs of discussion and debate. Through her neural link, Chen received updates from across the sector. Human ships were moving into defensive positions around vulnerable systems. The hegemony's fleet was massing, but they were also losing ships. Vessels quietly breaking formation, crews who had waited years for a chance to defect. Message from Earth Command, Patel announced privately. The Prometheus Protocol is now active. All ships are authorized to share basic quantum shielding technology with confirmed allies. Chen smiled. This had always been part of the plan, not just protecting other species, but elevating them. The hegemony had maintained power by keeping others weak. Humanity would build strength by helping others grow stronger. The hegemony calls us chaos bringers, she addressed the chamber. They're right. We're here to break their order, their control, their dominion over your lives. But from that chaos, we'll build something better. Together. As the diplomatic chamber hummed with new alliances being formed, Chen received another update. Massive energy spikes from deep in hegemony space. They were preparing something desperate, something powerful enough to think it could challenge humanity's quantum technology. The real test was about to begin, and it would prove whether humanity's half-century of preparation had been enough. The chess masters. Deep within Earth's Quantum Command Center, Admiral Harrison studied the massive holographic display showing fleet movements across 500 light-years of space. The hegemony had spent the last 24 hours positioning their forces in what they believed was a brilliant strategic maneuver. In reality, they were dancing to humanity's tune. Status report, he commanded, watching as red dots representing hegemony warships continued their predictable patterns. Operation Checkmate proceeding exactly as simulated, Colonel Naya Rivera responded, her fingers dancing across quantum interfaced controls. The hegemony's fleet formations match our behavioral models to within 98% accuracy. Their deployments are exactly where we predicted they would be. Harrison allowed himself a small smile. For decades, human quantum computers had been modeling hegemony tactical doctrine, analyzing their every move, every response. Now that knowledge would prove decisive. Aboard the Nighthawk, Captain Chen received the latest tactical updates through her neural link. Her ship, along with 30 other vessels of the Hidden Fleet, had taken position around the Meridian home system. The hegemony was coming, not just to punish the Meridians, but to make an example of the first species that had openly aligned with humanity. Multiple quantum wavefront distortions detected. Lieutenant Patil announced. Hegemony fleet emerging from hyperspace. Count. 3,000 vessels. Chen watched as the enemy ships appeared, their formation a three-dimensional lattice designed to prevent any escape. Leading them was the hegemony's flagship, a massive dreadnought nearly 10 kilometers long. Its hull bristled with weapons that could crack planets. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, Commander Victor reported. High Commander Vextil is demanding our immediate surrender. Put him through, Chen ordered. The holographic display showed the hegemony commander's scaled face, his multiple eyes gleaming with anticipated triumph. Your interference ends today, Vextil declared. Surrender your ships and share your quantum technology, or watch as we destroy everything you've tried to protect. You have 5 minutes to comply. Chen's response was calm, almost amused. High Commander, I don't think you understand. This isn't a battle. It's a demonstration. At that moment, across the sector, humanity's true strategy began to unfold. The quantum sensors aboard hegemony ships suddenly detected human vessels appearing behind their lines, beside their supply bases, within their defensive perimeters. Not dozens of ships, but thousands. Impossible, Vextil snarled. Our scouts reported only 30 ships in your fleet. Your scouts reported what we wanted them to see. Harrison's voice joined the channel. For 50 years, we didn't just watch you. We positioned our forces. Every abandoned mining outpost, every dead space station, every natural asteroid field you dismissed as irrelevant. They were all us. Waiting. Preparing. The hegemony fleet's tactical displays erupted with new contacts as quantum fields dropped across the sector, revealing humanity's hidden infrastructure. Space stations emerged from within gas giants. Shipyards appeared in the hearts of nebulae. A network of quantum gates, capable of transferring ships instantly across vast distances, shimmered into view. You see, High Commander, Chen continued, we knew this day would come. Every piece of technology you developed, every tactical doctrine you established, was based on data we allowed you to have. You built your strategies around solving the wrong problems. As if to demonstrate her point, the hegemony's first wave of attacks passed harmlessly through their targets. Human ships shifted partially out of phase with normal spacetime, allowing energy weapons and projectiles to pass through them without effect. Their weapons are charging for another volley, Paddle reported. all ships showing significant power spikes. Execute Phase 2, Chen commanded. Across the battlefield, human vessels activated their quantum interference fields. The hegemony's energy weapons suddenly found their carefully controlled plasma streams redirected back toward their own ships. Kinetic weapons curved in impossible arcs, missing their targets entirely. "What is this sorcery?" Vextil demanded, his scales darkening with rage. "This is what happens when you spend 50 years solving problems your enemies haven't even imagined yet," Harrison replied. "Stand down, High Commander. Your weapons can't hurt us, your shields can't stop us, and your strategies were outdated before you conceived them." But the hegemony commander wasn't finished. "Activate the phase disruptors. All ships, full power." Chen's tactical display lit up with warnings as the hegemony fleet engaged their secret weapons, devices designed to tear apart the quantum fields that human technology relied upon. They had clearly been preparing for this confrontation as well. "Phase disruptors at full power," Paddle reported. "They're attempting to collapse our quantum fields." Chen shared a knowing look with Harrison through their quantum link. "Should we show them why that was a mistake?" Harrison nodded. "Execute final phase." Throughout the hegemony fleet, their phase disruptors began to pulse with energy, exactly as humanity's simulations had predicted. The devices had been based on scattered readings of human quantum technology, but their designers had fundamentally misunderstood the principles involved. "Quantum resonance established," Rivera announced from Earth Command. "Their disruptors are now part of our network." In an instant, the phase disruptors became humanity's weapons. The quantum fields they were trying to disrupt instead synchronized with them, creating a cascading effect that spread through the hegemony fleet. Ships lost power as their energy systems were caught in the quantum feedback loop. "All enemy vessels showing critical power fluctuations," Paddle reported. "Their entire fleet is dead in space." Chen opened a channel to the disabled hegemony flagship. "As I said, High Commander, this wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. Your entire military strategy was based on trying to match our technology without understanding it. Now you have a choice. Stand down permanently, or we'll be forced to demonstrate exactly how much we've been holding back." The silence that followed was broken only by emergency signals from powerless hegemony ships. Finally, Vextil spoke, his voice heavy with the weight of comprehension. "You could have destroyed us at any time." "Yes," Chen confirmed, "but that's not who we are. We didn't spend 50 years preparing for war, High Commander. We spent it preparing to prevent war. Your fleet is disabled, not destroyed. Your crews are alive, not vaporized. Even now, we're extending our quantum fields to maintain your life support systems." Harrison's voice carried the weight of command. "The galaxy is changing, High Commander. You can change with it, or you can face extinction. The choice is yours, but know this: humanity will no longer watch from the shadows while the strong prey upon the weak." As rescue operations began for the stranded hegemony crews, Chen received word that similar scenes were playing out across the sector. The hidden human fleet had emerged precisely as planned, neutralizing hegemony forces with surgical precision while minimizing casualties. But in the quantum data streams, troubling information was emerging. The hegemony's core worlds were showing massive energy signatures, signs that they had been preparing something far worse than their phase disruptors, something desperate enough to make even humanity's quantum computers uncertain of the outcome. The game wasn't over yet, and the next move would determine the fate of the galaxy. Ripples in the dark. The quantum alert came without warning. Every human sensor array across the galaxy suddenly blazed with readings that should have been impossible. Captain Chen watched as her ship's AI struggled to process the data streaming in from the hegemony's core worlds. "What are we looking at?" she demanded, studying the chaotic patterns on the Nighthawk's main display. Commander Victor's voice was tense. "They're trying to tear apart spacetime itself. The energy signatures suggest they've built something that makes our quantum technology look primitive." "Impossible," Chen muttered, but the readings didn't lie. The hegemony have hidden their greatest weapon so well that even humanity's vast surveillance network hadn't detected it. Deep within their territory, ancient artifacts of long-dead civilizations had been weaponized in ways their creators never intended. Admiral Harrison's quantum-linked hologram appeared on the bridge, his expression grave. They found the precursor sites, the ones we thought were dormant. They've spent decades learning how to wake them up. The main display showed a terrifying sight. At the heart of hegemony space, massive structures were coming to life. Artificial stars that didn't belong in this universe, constructed by a civilization that had vanished millions of years ago. The hegemony had found a way to control them, to twist their purpose from creation to destruction. They're targeting the quantum gates first, Paddle reported, her hands flying over her console. The energy wave will destabilize our entire network. We'll lose our strategic advantage. That's not all we'll lose, Harrison added grimly. Those weapons don't just destroy ships or planets. They unravel the fundamental forces that hold space-time together. If they succeed, they'll create a cascade that will tear this entire sector of the galaxy apart. Chen straightened in her command chair. They wouldn't. They'd destroy themselves too. Message incoming from High Command Vextil, Patil announced. The hegemony leader's face appeared on the main screen, his scales now a deep purple of desperate resolve. You forced our hand, humans. You thought you had planned for everything, had an answer for every weapon. But there are powers in this galaxy older than your species, older than all of us. If we cannot rule, then none shall. You're talking about the extinction of trillions, Chen responded, her voice hard. Every species in this sector, including your own. Better extinction than submission to your new order, Vextil snarled. You have 1 hour to surrender complete control of your quantum technology, or we activate the precursor network at full power. Even your vaunted preparation cannot save you from what's coming. The transmission cut off. Chen turned to Harrison's hologram. Tell me we prepared for this. Harrison's expression was unreadable. We knew about the precursor sites. We studied them, just like we studied everything else. But we never imagined anyone would be desperate enough to use them this way. He paused. There is one option, but it's theoretical. We never tested it because the risks were too high. Higher than letting the hegemony tear apart the fabric of space-time. Possibly. Harrison's hologram flickered as quantum interference from the awakening precursor sites grew stronger. We developed a way to synchronize our entire fleet's quantum cores, creating a single unified field that could potentially stabilize space-time itself. But if the calculations are off by even a fraction, we could accelerate the very disaster we're trying to prevent. Chen studied the tactical display, watching as the ancient weapons continued to power up. The hegemony had positioned their remaining fleet around the sites, ready to prevent any conventional attack. But this situation required something far from conventional. How many ships would we need? She asked. All of them, Harrison replied. Every quantum core, perfectly synchronized, creating a field large enough to encompass the entire sector. It's never been attempted on this scale. The energy requirements alone are beyond anything we've ever calculated. Chen opened a channel to all human vessels. This is Captain Chen. You've all seen the data. You know what the hegemony is threatening. We spent 50 years preparing to protect this galaxy. Now it's time to prove we meant it. Across the sector, human ships began moving into precise positions, forming a complex three-dimensional pattern that spread across thousands of light years. Each vessel was a node in what would become the largest quantum network ever created. The hegemony is powering up their final sequence, Paddle reported. 15 minutes until they reach critical threshold. Chen shared a look with Harrison. Time to show them what humanity's really capable of. Not just our technology or our strategies, but our will to protect life itself. The order went out across the human fleet. Every quantum core began to pulse in perfect harmony, their fields merging and growing. The energy required was astronomical. Even with humanity's advanced technology, they were pushing the boundaries of what should have been possible. Precursor weapons at 70% power, Patil announced. Space-time distortions are beginning to form. The fabric of reality itself began to warp as two impossible forces contested with each other. The hegemony's ancient weapons pulled at the fundamental forces of the universe, while humanity's unified quantum field fought to hold everything together. Core temperature critical, Lieutenant Santos reported from engineering. The containment fields are barely holding. Chen watched as warning indicators flashed across her display. Every ship in the fleet was pushing its systems far beyond their designed limits. They would burn out their cores at this rate, maybe worse. But giving up wasn't an option. This was the moment humanity had truly prepared for, even if they hadn't known it. Not just the technology or the strategies, but the unwavering will to stand against destruction itself. Divert all power to the quantum network, Chen ordered. Everything we've got. Show them what humanity does when the stakes are absolute. As the precursor weapons reached their final stage of activation, as space itself seemed ready to tear apart, humanity's greatest achievement was not their technology, but their unity of purpose. Every ship, every crew member, every quantum core pulsed in perfect synchronization. The universe held its breath as two forces beyond comprehension clashed in the void. And in that moment, the true nature of humanity's power was revealed, not in the weapons they could build, but in their determination to preserve rather than destroy. A new dawn. Reality itself seemed to shudder as two incomprehensible forces battled across the void. The ancient precursor weapons pulled at the fabric of space-time, while humanity's unified quantum field fought to hold the universe together. On the Nighthawk's bridge, warning indicators screamed as systems were pushed far beyond their designed limits. Quantum core stability at 12%, Santos reported, his voice strained. We're losing containment across the fleet. Captain Chen watched as the tactical display showed human ships beginning to fail, their quantum cores burning out from the immense strain. But even as vessels went dark, their crews refused to abandon their positions. Every ship that fell weakened the quantum field that was holding reality together. The precursor weapons are reaching critical threshold, Commander Victor announced. Space-time distortions are accelerating. Through the quantum network, Chen could feel the strain on every ship, every crew member. They were giving everything they had. And it wasn't enough. The hegemony's weapons were simply too powerful, too fundamentally woven into the fabric of the universe itself. Then, through the chaos of the quantum communications, a new voice emerged. This is Speaker Lyra of the Meridian Collective. We stand with humanity. Crystalline ships appeared through quantum space, taking position within the human formation. Their unique technology, based on principles humanity had never fully understood, began to resonate with the quantum field. The Etherian Concordat joins this effort, another voice declared. Gaseous vessels that had seemed neutral until now moved to join the network, their exotic energy patterns strengthening the quantum field in ways human science hadn't predicted. More voices joined the chorus. Species that had watched and waited, seeing how humanity would use its power, now committed themselves to the cause. Each brought their own unique technologies, their own understanding of the universe. The quantum field began to change, to evolve into something greater than humanity had designed. What's happening? Chen demanded, watching as the tactical display showed patterns she'd never seen before. Harrison's hologram smiled. We spent 50 years studying every species in the galaxy, but we never imagined what would happen if we all worked together. Each species sees the universe differently, understands it through their own science. Apart, none of us could match the precursor weapons, but together. The unified quantum field shifted, incorporating principles from a dozen different species. Crystalline harmonics from the meridians strengthened its structure. Etherian energy patterns stabilized its fluctuations. Each new addition made the field stronger, more complex, more complete. The field is adapting, Victor reported with wonder. It's not just holding space-time together anymore. It's healing it. On the main display, the precursor weapons began to flicker. The ancient technology, designed to manipulate fundamental forces, found itself opposed not by one species' understanding of physics, but by a unified theory of reality itself. Message from High Commander Vextil, Patel announced. The hegemony leader's face appeared, his scales now pale with fear. What are you doing? The weapons, they're not just failing. They're dissolving. No, Chen corrected him. They're being undone. Not by force, but by understanding. The precursors built their weapons based on one view of the universe. We're showing them a fuller picture. The ancient weapons began to decay, their impossible energies dispersing harmlessly into quantum space. The combined fleet maintained their formation, their unified field now spreading healing ripples through the wounded fabric of space-time. Stand down, High Commander, Harrison ordered. Your weapons are gone. But that's not your greatest loss today. Look around you. See what you could have been part of if you'd chosen cooperation over dominion. Hours later, as the crisis passed and ships began standing down from their emergency positions, Chen stood in the Nighthawk's observation deck. The view was different now. Where once she had seen only stars and darkness, now she could perceive the subtle quantum harmonics that bound all things together. The hegemony leadership has surrendered, Harrison reported, joining her at the window. Their client worlds are declaring independence. But that's not the most interesting development. Chen nodded. The quantum field. It's still there, isn't it? Not holding reality together anymore, but connecting things. The scientists are calling it the unity field. It's not just a weapon or a shield. When we linked all our technologies together, we created something entirely new. A way for different species to share not just information, but understanding. The unity field was subtle, barely detectable except to those who knew where to look. But it was spreading, carried by ships of all species, creating a network of shared knowledge and cooperation that would change the galaxy forever. We spent 50 years preparing to protect the galaxy, Chen mused. We never imagined we'd help unite it instead. Harrison smiled. The hegemony tried to rule through force. We showed them a better way. Now every species can contribute their unique perspective, their special understanding of the universe. Together, we're achieving things none of us could have managed alone. A message arrived through the quantum network. The newly formed Galactic Council was convening for the first time. Representatives from every species would meet not as rulers and subjects, but as equals. Each would bring their own knowledge, their own technologies, their own ways of seeing the universe. Ready to help build something new? Harrison asked. Chen looked out at the stars, seeing them with new eyes. Humanity had emerged from hiding not just as guardians or protectors, but as architects of a new age. They had prepared for war but achieved peace. They had planned for conflict but fostered unity. The real work begins now, she answered. And this time, we don't have to do it alone. Across the galaxy, ships of all species traveled through quantum space, carrying with them the seeds of a new civilization. The unity field grew stronger with each passing day, as more worlds joined the network, sharing their knowledge and perspectives. The age of empires was over. The age of understanding had begun. And humanity, who had hidden for so long in preparation for war, found their true purpose in fostering peace. They had emerged not as conquerors or saviors, but as teachers and students both, ready to learn from those they had watched for so long. The silent guardians had found their voice at last, and the galaxy would never be the same.